boy being out there.
Yep.
It's like November, December with a blanket.
Yep.
I just want to give you guys
And
a
a bag
heads
of
up
marshmallows.
that since it's 7 o'clock, we are live now.
Let's
Okay.
go. Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Have we got Meredith?
Recording in progress.
Meredith, are you with us?
I do
No.
not see Meredith.
Okay. Well, I just want to welcome everybody who is on our Zoom and anybody who's out there on the web. Thank you for joining us, and just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. And I hope this heralds the demise of all of the goings-on that we've been dealing with, mostly Judith. So I will call the meeting to order, and I think we can start with the approval of the December 21 minutes. Thank you, Audrey. They look good to me.
Yep.
I just had one suggestion. Under the director's report, the last line, it would be the second page. I'm just going to ask you if you think it's appropriate to indicate, this baby was born. Congratulations, librarian Liz Maynard, just so people know who Liz is. That is my only suggestion. She is a librarian. You don't know who Liz is, it could be anyone. So I just thought to identify her more fully.
Sure.
That's up to you. I mean, what do the rest of you think?
Good suggestion. Yeah, I think that's fine.
So we know that she is a librarian. Yeah.
Yeah, she knows she's part of the staff. And,
That's true too.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay. If there are there any other comments?
No, that was the only one. So.
Okay, thank you. And so if I could have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion. Okay, I second it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Pat made the motion, I second.
Everybody who's in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Okay, Judith, director's reports.
Let me see if I can successfully share my screen here without dropping anything. Okay, here we go, and slideshow. All right, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. It always feels like a minor miracle when it works. Great. All right, so this is going to be relatively short because December is always kind of our quietest month. Why is that so off-center? I don't know. So those off-center kids are the 4th graders from Peter B. who continue to come. It's been really nice. They come, we do like a 10-15 minute kind of library skills activity with them, and then they have 10-15 minutes to look for books. And it's the highlight of the week. The teacher at Peter B is Mr. Frzambak, and don't ask me how to spell that, Audrey, because I don't know, but if you email me the minutes, I'll make sure it's spelled correctly. But he's great to work with, and it's been really nice having these kids in every other week, so that's been a continuing good thing. Most of our programming in December is always focused on vacation week. We had 4 programs for kids. 3 of them did pretty well. One of them wasn't very popular. The bottle shooters was fun. You can't see it because it was moving too fast, but the kids all made functional bottle shooters. So it was a science/arts and crafts because they painted them /weapons building class. We had some siblings who were like, do not shoot your bottle at anybody else. At least in the library they followed that instruction, and I figure when they leave the library it's up to the parents. Cross stitch was our one thing that didn't work out. I mean, it was fine. We had one kid come and he enjoyed it, but it just, it wasn't very popular, but that's okay. We also had a Morse code bracelet craft. That filled up. Kids designed, came up with a saying, translated it into Morse code, and then made a bracelet with dots and dashes. So that was pretty popular. And then we also, Barb did an earthquake science program called Shaky Science, which the kids made their own simulated earthquakes, and that was also fun and popular. So that worked out well. Let's see here. Why can't I move any further? Oh, okay. We had an after-school program with duct tape wallets. Our intended audience was kids, but until the day of the program, we only had kind of adults sign up, which is, it's great. It's fine. It's always nice to see things turn intergenerational, and I'm always happy when adults are willing to come in and play and make things and explore. But we scratch our heads a little bit in a good way. So that worked out well. The woman on the right is Hillary. She's our newest library clerk, so if you haven't met her yet, next time in your library, say hi. She's from New Baltimore. She's super friendly, so she'd be more than happy to talk to all of you. We've still been doing the weekly take and makes, and every single week they all go. We try to do, it's easy to find paper crafts, and we try to maybe do about half paper crafts and half other things. Last week we did paperwhite bulbs, which went really quickly. So we just gave out the bulbs and some potting soil, and people picked them up, provided their own containers, and hopefully all around RCS in a few weeks we'll have some sweet-smelling narcissi. Our sauce club is still going. We made ganache in December, and I'm pretty sure this is the first sauce or spice that had universal acclaim. No real shock there. It's it's basically liquid chocolate. But it was fun hearing what people made and how they liked it. We offered again. You might remember in the beginning of 2021 we had an ASL class that filled up. So we offered it again in partnership with the Castleton Library, and it filled up again. So today was the second session on that class. So that's been good. And story times are still happening every week. This is Romp and Read. They are, I'm going to say, doing more romping than reading here. The program is popular. We added a second session on Tuesdays to keep up with demand. And we also still have our Thursday story times. Okay, a couple of nuts and bolts things. For the last year and a half, we've been able to offer people Ancestry at home. The vendor basically said because of COVID, we're going to remove the restriction that people need to access this resource from the library. So it was a really nice run while we had it. It was very popular. All the people using their extra time to research their family history. Through June, it's going to be available in the library. And then in June, we'll have to decide if you want to extend it out or not. I'm very curious to see how much usage drops. If everyone who is using it at home comes in the library and uses it, we'll probably pay to continue it. But if that doesn't happen, there's a big drop off. We may just say, it was nice while it lasted, but it cost us the same going forward with access only in the library as it did in the past when people could access it from home. So time will tell if people's level of interest is high enough to motivate them to come into the library. It's snow season, just like the last couple of years. Brendan is going to do the hand shoveling for the walkways, and the village plows our lot for us. We sign an MOU every year in which we agree to be an emergency shelter if needed, and they do our parking lot in return. It's a fantastic deal. So if you see Henry or the mayor, it's always nice to say thank you. We've had heating issues this past month in both the main library and the new space. There was a problem with the electrical wiring on the boiler in the main library. Fortunately, with the radiant heat, the floor really holds the heat. It took Prosecco's a couple of days to figure out a kind of a patchwork solution. And I talked to Jack again today. They're waiting for a part to come in. So the heat works, but it works because one of the Prosecco technicians came and kind of spliced things together. It's not really a long-term solution. So there was that. And then the new workspace, that heating has been kind of a perennial challenge in terms of leaks in the lines. We had a contractor back. The heat is working now, but it took more than a week to get that working, so we were using space heaters in there. I'm not entirely convinced that's fully resolved either. So the good news is we have temporary success. The bad news is we are going to get some major contractor bills in the coming weeks. So we'll see that in our reports for next month. You know, it's kind of a non-negotiable, especially when the forecasted high tomorrow is 10 degrees. So
We put money aside for major projects anyway, haven't we?
yeah, we're fine. It's fine financially.
Yeah,
It's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried.
What was the boiler issues?
So the boiler issues, and there's basically, and I'm sure I don't fully understand this, but there is an electrical component to the boiler. So we heat with oil, and there is the electrical component on that boiler stopped working properly, so the boiler stopped working. So the technicians were able to jerry rig a fix, but they need to replace that component of the hardware.
And where was the other issue?
So the staff offices.
Oh, okay.
So the kitchen, staff offices, that new space.
Okay. Okay.
Judith,
Yes.
does that new space has its own heating system then? It doesn't run off the same boiler as the main library?
It does not run off the same boiler. So the main library, the boiler heats, there's radiant floor heating in there. So there's two, that basically heats the radiators in that space and also the radiant floor. When we added the new space, the original drawings from the contractor included extending the radiant heat into the new space, but it was prohibitively expensive.
Okay.
Hindsight may say we were penny wise, pound foolish, because it turned into a pain. But it was, I don't know, $30,000 more, something like that, to extend the radiant heat out.
So is that also oil heat, the new space?
It's so it is a heat pump, which to me is like a minor miracle of science, like how those work when they work, and that may be part of the issue, like how a pump can draw heat out of the air when it is, this cold out. I don't fully understand just the physics of that, but no.
Interesting.
Oil is a heat pump.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So when it works, you are warm.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Have people been cold, Judith? What's the temp been?
It wasn't that bad. I don't think I ever went below 60. And so we had space heaters. With space heaters, there was, you wore a sweater and you were fine.
Okay, good.
Okay, so the story with this particular heating system, and I know it's in the administrative kitchen area, is it needs to be repaired? Is it leaking?
There's a leak that they just can't seem to, every time they're like, oh, we think we found it, but then a few months later, they need to come back.
Oh, time for a new heating system.
Oh, no, please.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see in a month or two, and then take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
They were successful.
1 month at a time.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I just don't like people sitting in when it's like 60 degrees. I know it sounds okay, but I sit in an office when it's about 60 degrees, and it's after a while you start freezing, and so I start putting on jackets and stuff and drinking tea because it's like it just starts getting cold, So okay, but we'll trust your judgment.
I learned about how urinals work because when the village water main stopped working, our urinals kept on running when the water got turned off, and then turned back on again. So I learned how to turn off water to the urinal, and I learned how to bleed the air from the line in the urinal.
Oh my God!
Skills I had previously possessed, so that was very exciting. And
how many librarians can say that?
probably more than you would imagine. Public buildings have urinals. And then just a couple of kind of outreach things. I went to senior projects before they got shut down. People may know that a couple weeks ago they got moved to a takeout model. So I went to see them and just kind of talk up the library a little bit. The RCS Community Business Association has been doing ribbon cuttings left and right. Most recently at Gabler Realty on Main Street. So I'll be going to those. And we got a grant through the Arts Council, working with an artist performer named Jeff Boyer. It's stretching art a little bit. I was pleasantly surprised when we got funded, but we'll be doing our summer reading kickoff. It's going to be a science/art program called Bubble Palooza, in which kids get to experiment with bubbles. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm just really happy that they give us money to do it.
That's great. How much did they give you?
They covered his cost, which was like, I don't know, like $600. Not that much.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was
Great.
He was more pricey than we would have normally paid for one performer. So it's fun that we'll be able to have him.
That's great.
And who gave you this money?
Arts Council.
The Arts Council?
Yeah. Any questions on any of that?
Oh, I have one question about the fourth graders.
Yeah.
You mentioned a teacher's name. Is that just one class that comes, or does he bring the whole fourth grade?
Class. My understanding, and this is certainly nothing official, the teachers are supposed to be working to contract, and he isn't working to contract, which is
Okay.
for the kids, and I appreciate it, but I try not to get involved in the labor issues.
So, and that's something that was his idea.
So it's something that we've done in the past.
Yep.
And yeah, he reached out to me saying, "Hey, can we still do this?"
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Onto the numbers. It was a bleak month for circulation, and it's particularly. I mean, December is always our slowest month, but the fact that we're comparing it with December of the previous year doesn't, means that it was particularly bleak. You can see, looking at the numbers, it was down almost across the board.
We can't see any numbers.
So it's in your packet.
Oh, I thought you were presenting it. Okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah, I can put it on my screen. Hold on.
No, it's okay. I just.
Yep. Here we go. So you can see things are fairly uniformly down, and one of the more striking things is both items loaned to other libraries was down, but items borrowed from other libraries was down even more. We ran our pull list this past Monday and had, more than double our number of items. So I took a photo of it with Brendan and posted it on our social media, saying, yay, people are requesting lots for their New Year's resolutions. But a more thorough disclosure on that post would have been other libraries' patrons requesting lots for their New Year's resolutions.
Oh, dear.
Certainly some of them were our patrons, but ours are not doing. There's not a big jump on ours. Ours is a pretty big decrease. So we're doing a few things like the Winter Reading Challenge, hoping to turn that around a little bit. I have never been able to figure out how to make people read more. And make is the wrong word, of course. How to encourage, etc., etc. So there's not a lot of light there. Even Overdrive is down a little bit. And as I dug into that, I think I mentioned this last month, in the previous school year, there must have been at least some teachers who had remote students who are having their remote students use Overdrive pretty regularly, and that's not happening this year. So if you take out because I can see who's accessing Overdrive through the school and who's accessing it with a regular RCS library card. So that drop was entirely in the school population. So the adult or public library use is held steady on that. On the theme of e-content, in your packet, you'll also find that quarterly digital content circulation report. For the year, our e-content was up 6%. And last year, it was up, I don't remember offhand, but more than 20%. So we had that really big increase in the first year of the pandemic, and now that's become a much more sustainable growth number, which is good. Audiobooks are our most consistent growth. Ebooks are actually down a smidge. I'm looking forward to the day when we don't need to buy both books on physical CD and digital ebooks, digital audiobooks. I'm hoping to slowly convert everyone. A couple of you I've worked on. And if there's anyone else who ever comes in and borrows a physical CD, I'll be like, no, you're doing it wrong. I don't have actually converted anyone, but I've been trying. So you can see that we're doing a little bit better than the system overall. Upper Hudson system-wide was flat for the year, whereas we were up a little bit. Turning to the second page, again, you can see it was in that previous 2020 year, we had our all-time high number of users. We are down a little bit, but still way over 2019 or any other previous year. And Hoopla, which is our other ebook or e-content provider. The main difference, of course, is Hoopla materials. It's a smaller collection, but they're all always available, so there's no wait list. So that continues to grow. And then I always like to look at this third page, which shows you how your physical and digital collections compare with one another. Audiobooks are most striking. Currently, 93% of our audiobook circulation is digital, so we're getting close to being able to get rid of the physical ones.
Wow.
And then for fiction, physical books only outcirculate digital books for adult fiction by, it's less than 10%. And then we're about almost 60-40 in terms of total circulation, physical to digital. And then again, you'll see that digital checkout growth on that print checkout. You had that steep decline in 2020, and it's slowly coming back again. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. On to financials. There really isn't anything particularly out of the ordinary here. I'm looking at the profit and loss, budget versus actual. I'm happy to see we are way under budget for electrical, and I lowered our budgeted amount, I think, fairly appreciably this year, kind of knowing that we had the solar and the LED, but we're still spending considerably less than I thought we would. So that's really nice to see. I didn't think anything else was particularly noteworthy, but if anyone has any questions, let me know and I'll figure it out.
Well, if there are no questions, maybe we can go on to the approval of the December check registers. I forget how we do this, Judith.
So I think you just say kind of the dates of the register, and there might only be 2 dates this month, and say, people had a chance to review them, and if so, can I have a motion to approve?
Right. So I just need the dates of the check ledgers, and for what months?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have that.
Yeah,
I don't.
I've got it.
Thanks a lot.
Did we get a copy of those?
Yep, they
It's
got
I
it.
don't have
December,
them.
So it is January 8th and January 5th.
Judith, which email is that in? Because I didn't see it this month.
I didn't see it either.
Oh, that is
No,
my
we
bad.
did.
I sent it to the board email address and not to you all. I apologize.
Okay.
I will forward it to you right now.
Okay, thank you.
Because you can't possibly review it that
Okay,
way.
so we'll table that.
Yes.
Till
Sorry about
next.
that.
Oh, no. I'm glad we figured it out.
Yes.
Table till February. Okay.
We're tabling these registers till February?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want to make a note that it's the 5th and the 8th of January.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that next month and we'll go on to new business. And I don't think the first thing is the reopening adjustments, but I don't know if you have anything you want to say, Judith, but I don't think anything's really changed.
So, a couple things. Nothing has changed. There are a number of libraries that, while staying open, have switched their programming to virtual. I'm not, I don't know that we need to do that, but I just wanted to make you aware, like Bethlehem, for example, their story times are all virtual right now. I know that's also the case in Albany and Guilderland. And I just, during this meeting, and Lori, this is in your inbox too, but I just got an email from a staff member that I'll just read because you can't possibly have read it, and it's addressed to everybody. So, dear Lori and the board, Happy New Year. I hope this finds you well. I wish to ask you as the board to reassess and consider revising the current staff health policies because things are ever changing with new information. Please find the link below to the CDC and take note of the following excerpts from the article. If an employee is, with or without vaccines, actively ill with COVID-19 symptoms, they should have to be tested and or not return to work until quarantined and symptom-free. Of course, masks required for all. And then there's a quote from CDC. A vaccine breakthrough infection happens when a fully vaccinated person gets infected with COVID-19. People with vaccine breakthrough infections may be infectious and spread COVID to others. Again, stated under the heading, what we know about vaccine breakthrough infections. People who get vaccine breakthrough infections can be contagious. Thank you for your time and consideration.
What is she asking?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just got it now, so I'm reading it for the first time off my phone. From a conversation with this individual, I believe that they are asking that we reconsider that people who have not been vaccinated need to get weekly tests, but people who have been vaccinated do not, because of course anyone can get infected. When I had a conversation with this individual, my point was people who are not vaccinated are at higher risk for getting COVID and are likely to be more contagious, and that's why we had that policy. I mean, certainly anyone can get COVID, but we don't really have the resources wherewithal, and it's not currently our policy to require weekly tests of vaccinated individuals.
So yeah, and in most places where you're working, people who are vaccinated or who are not vaccinated have to do a weekly test.
Right.
And people who are vaccinated do not have to have tests unless they have symptoms.
Indeed.
So do they want everybody to be tested weekly? Is that what they're asking?
Perhaps.
Well, but that doesn't follow the guidelines.
Right. So, I mean, Lori, certainly, when you want to read this, you see it on your phone, Lori?
Yeah, I do, but I'm also confused as to what she is requesting.
It sounds like she was aiming at how people can return to work after they've been sick, but we're just following regular CDC guidelines on that, right? You can't just waltz back in after you've had COVID symptoms, so.
I think the key is that people who have vaccines and people who are not vaccinated, I think this person wants everyone to have to be tested for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what I'm thinking.
Right, because I mean, I think the key thing is if an employee is with or without vaccines acutely ill with COVID-19 symptoms, they should have to be tested and or not return to work until quarantined and symptom-free. The only, I think, room for ambiguity here is who decides if you have COVID-19 symptoms, you know?
Well, but there are symptoms. I mean, if you have a sore throat, a runny nose, you've lost your sense of taste and smell, or a headache, those are symptoms of COVID, and you need to test. I mean, we have to do that at work.
Absolutely. But so at what point what I've always said to staff is, if you think you might have COVID, don't come to work and go get tested. But I've never said to someone who blows their nose, did you get tested?
Oh, right. So nor should you. I mean, I blow my nose constantly. My nose is constantly running. It's been running for 3 years wearing masks. So, but I haven't had COVID for 3 years.
Right. And that's the, I think the, issue of concern here. Like, how do I know my coworker? I don't know. It's complicated.
Staff members aren't doing the attestation anymore, right?
No, they're not.
We're not still having them do that. Okay.
No. Nobody has to do that.
Well, at my work site, whether you're vaccinated or not, you really don't have to get tested. The only time you have to get tested is when you start having symptoms. But you're required to wear a mask. And now since Omicron has started, you're required to wear a K95 mask.
That is one change I think we could possibly make, is to request that people use the 95. Because
Well, one of the things I saw on the news tonight with that K95 mask, they're only good for 1 to 2 days.
Right.
And now they're starting to become a shortage because people are using them so often and so much people can't get them.
Well,
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
at my work site, we use them more than 1 day. We use them 2 or 3 days until they're dirty. We do.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, and it hasn't killed me yet, so I'm good.
Well,
But
I know this is just tonight. I'm just saying this just happened tonight, so
right. I mean, but it's but
you never know.
right. We use them. I mean, and people, it's like we require them to have it. We have them available, and so they use them for a couple of days, and then if they want a new one, they get a new one. But we don't require anyone, even if they're not tested, even if they're not vaccinated, to be tested unless they have symptoms, and they have to do an attestation every day. They have to take that temperature every day. They have to sign an attestation every day. So and so because we want people to be aware of these are the symptoms. If you have these symptoms, please don't come to work. Please go home immediately. But that's what we do, and it seems to be working. I think
Do you think it's a thought to try to order some KN95s just to have for people at the library?
We certainly could do that.
Good luck.
My only issue with K95, to be honest, is the size. They pull my ear, so I end up really having to wear 2 masks, the surgical mask and the K95, because they just pull my ear. I mean, my ears are like this with them, and so. See, it's the size too. I mean, some people, there's no problem with other people. Maybe I got a big head. I don't know. But that's the only thing. But
Yes, they are. They're very tight. The 95s are very tight.
And you can also just, yeah, I mean, you can also just ask to double mask. I mean, you can do a paper mask and a cloth mask over it.
That's what I do. I wear 2 masks. I wear a surgical and a K95.
Right. But I mean, if you don't have K95s, you can just do, you can just double mask.
Right. That's true too.
Yeah.
Currently, we have some staff members who double mask. We have some staff members who wear KN95s. We have some staff members. We have the whole gamut.
Yeah.
So, there's always been people who have been more cautious than others. The question is, do we want to require something different?
No, I don't think you can require unless you're going to provide.
Well,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If we were to require, we have to provide.
I mean, I would be comfortable with just having the KN95s available because we know they're supposed to be a little better. But I mean, I think that the library's had an amazing record in the 2 years of COVID.
Yes.
I don't feel like changing anything up personally. I think it's worked, and if you have symptoms, you should go get tested. Except if you don't have a vaccine, I think you need to still get tested every week. Or I would say more frequently, but I know that's a real issue.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean,
Yeah.
But anyways.
Okay, so
Because-
a follow on to this is currently testing availability is limited.
Yes.
And so we've had no problems up till now with individuals being able to schedule a test, the pharmacy test, which is what we asked for, and get the results. But this week they weren't able to schedule a test. So I said I'd bring up the possibility of a home test when pharmacy tests aren't available. The alternative would be saying, you just can't work if you haven't gotten your test. So that's the next decision point.
But if they're asymptomatic,
Yeah.
that just doesn't seem right either.
I think that this is going to be a short-term problem because, I mean, at Stewart's at Selkirk this afternoon, they were giving out, somebody had a milk crate and Albany County was giving out free
home test.
home test.
Yeah, I think home test availability is definitely improving. It's a question of, because we had requested they be the pharmacy test.
Yes, yeah. I think the person has to do the best they can. And I think a home test, if the pharmacy one isn't available,
Then a home test.
then a home test.
Okay.
So, okay, I got one other question.
I agree.
I got one other question. If the person has been doing due diligence related to testing, there's been no issue with them. So, okay, if they haven't, I just feel like, okay, if they've come and they've been very honest about it, I think I have no issues with making the exception for that week. But at the same time, they can get home tested. I'm good. That's fine too. I mean, you can buy a home test at CVS behind the counter.
Yeah, but like Lori was saying,
$200.
they were giving them away at the Ravina and Selkirk. I mean, if you want a home test, you can get your hands on a home test.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
sometimes, because they were all out. It took me a long time to find home tests. I went to 6 different pharmacies to find one just before Christmas.
Before Christmas. Yeah, it was hard before Christmas, but now it's gone better.
And
Yeah.
they're saying you need 2 or 3 of the home tests before they say it's really positive.
Yeah, so maybe that'll be that you need to
that's
do
not
twice for
it.
the home test. Yeah.
It says it's positive. There's a greater than 90% chance that that's an accurate result. But if it says it's negative, there's a 50% chance that it's false. So it's very, if it's positive, it's probably good information. But if it's negative, it's not, it's, hit or
The
miss.
home test isn't as reliable.
Exactly.
Right. But, if they can do the home test and then set up an appointment for the following week, or as soon as
Better than
possible, then
nothing.
that's great. Right. And especially if they've been really good about it. I mean,
And if they're still asymptomatic, I mean, they've been really compliant so far. I think we should still go with that.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So our next item is next month. Should we do Zoom or in person? And I just think we have to keep doing Zoom for a while. And I apologize for those of you who hate it. But I think that we have to stay on course here with the Zoom.
And you scheduled it for Valentine's Day.
Well, that was my next thing. Would anybody like to, is anybody, does anybody have a problem with the 14th? Would you like to change it?
No problem for me.
I don't. I was just giving you a hard time. So
Not unless you want to have my roses delivered to me somewhere else. Or my chocolate.
exactly.
All righty. So we'll do Zoom on 214. And so the next item is Challenged Materials Workshop. And I'm sorry, I have no idea. Well, I didn't write anything about it down. I don't know what the heck is.
So this Thursday, Upper Hudson is hosting a workshop on how to deal with challenges to library material. And Lauren, I think you're signed up for it.
Oh, I am. Yeah, I am.
So
how to deal with what?
challenges to library material. So it's a national trend. Challenges to library materials are increasing. So Upper Hudson is doing a workshop on how to handle it. I'm planning on attending. Lori's planning on attending.
I did sign up for that.
If anyone else is interested, it's 6 p.m. 6 to 7 on Thursday, or let me know and I'll send you the sign-up link. But we just wanted people to know that was available. So if that's of interest to you, just let me know.
Challenges to library materials for what? Like how to get them or getting access to it?
For example, Jacob Wears a Red Dress is a book about a young boy who decides he wants to dress as a girl. Families come in and say, I don't think it's appropriate that a public library should have this book.
Oh.
Okay.
Challenge.
Okay.
Oh, all right. So they're just having it's more a society kind of challenges with what people are writing about
I think,
and whether we should be having that.
Cultural challenges. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Well, if you want, Debbie, send me an email and I'll send you the sign-up link if you want to go.
Okay.
Is that a Zoom thing?
It is a Zoom thing.
Yep. So our next item is the trustee terms, which are in my opinion, fairly complicated, but Judith kind of got me on deck here. So I'm just going to kind of go through it as I understand it. So, Tricia, your term ends in June. You have to be reelected in June if you want to run again, and you can run 2 more times. And Marie, you are at the end of your 3 terms.
Right.
Boo-hoo.
No.
Meredith, you need to be elected in May, and you can run 2 more times.
Okay.
And Debbie has the most complicated situation because you are appointed for a 1-year term, which is up in the spring.
Yes.
So I hate to tell you, but you have to go through the election thing with getting the signatures again.
I know.
But that'll be for another 1 year.
No,
we didn't figure that out yet.
I figured this out. So I talked to Tim Burke
Okay.
about this. And the way it works is, so there is a 2-year term. So basically, we have 4 slots. 3 of those slots are for 3-year terms, and 1 of those slots is for a 2-year term. Whoever gets the lowest number of votes gets slotted into that 2-year term.
Okay, but Debbie has to run again in May, and okay.
So Debbie, and then if they choose to, which we hope they do, Tricia and Meredith,
Right.
have to run again. And then
I hope you guys will do it again.
we need to
Well, I don't know. After all the emails I send Lori, she might not want me to run again.
Oh, I appreciate it. You're on top of these issues. Okay, so does everybody, is everybody clear on those?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
So I can suggest
That's most of the
that
board.
by next February, those of you whose terms are up and are eligible to run again will let us know that you are choosing to run again. And then we'll have suggestions for people who we can reach out to run for the seat that will be vacated by Bernie.
All right, and the last one is the Winter Reading Challenge. I hope everybody's going to sign up. I'm on my 3rd book. I'll show you what it looks like.
Oh, I got my bookmark today.
Oh, you did?
Excellent.
I was excited.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Good job, Lori.
I hope everybody's doing it because we all want a tote bag.
Yes, I know.
A tote bag.
I'm on my 3rd book, so I'm on my way. I gotta come get my prizes.
Good for you.
So wait, there's more. And this is this is part of the email with the check registered that I failed to send to you all. So I'll just read it to you. Please find below info for the Winter Reading Challenge. Meredith suggested using the Winter Reading Challenge as an opportunity to do some trustee awareness. The idea is to take a photo of each of you with a book that you're reading for the WRC and do a display in the library of the photos. Community members would have a better sense of who is on the library board, and the display would also have the benefit of promoting the WRC. Fear not, you'd be under no obligation to complete the challenge, but you are certainly welcome to. We could do the photos virtually or in person. I'll discuss this evening, but wanted to send this out in a failed attempt to send it in advance and mull it over.
Great idea.
Hey, Meredith, I love this idea.
Great.
I want a 12 by 16.
Oh, boy.
Well, I'm up for it for sure.
Yeah,
Whatever is easiest for you, Judith. I'll come in, or you can do it right now, or whatever, or after the meeting, whatever you want to do.
I want a photo of everyone in one of the books they're reading for the challenge.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
you have a book handy, like if you want to stay on, I could do you on Zoom, or if you want to do it in the library, and that's always easy and fun too. So
I'll come in the library.
great.
I'll stop in tomorrow.
Okay. Bring your book. Or we
Yeah.
have some books at the library if you need a prop.
Well,
You have some books for us?
Well, now, I don't know, Judith. Now, I have a physical book, but I also have an audio book, and then I also have a CD. So,
They all count. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. You're a super reader, Audrey.
Oh,
So
I'm in
why
my
don't we
car a
finish
lot.
the agenda, and if anybody wants to do a picture on Zoom, then we can, does that work, Judith?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So then our next item is old business, and where we're going to chat about concerts in Mosier Park and the questions that are arising with the co-sponsorship with the village. Any news on that?
As I mentioned to Lori, I had emailed Linda Muller back, and I hadn't heard back, but I was at a ribbon cutting on Friday, and she was there, and I said, hey, Linda. And the answer is they're trying to figure out what the town's doing.
Okay.
So once they know that, they'll get back to us.
Okay,
So
good. So there's, I'm
So we'll
glad
just
there's
keep-
communication going on.
Yeah.
that's right, because the town does concerts in the park, at the pavilion, at the,
Yes.
Right.
yes,
We talked about it
pavilion.
last month, and we just don't want to be involved if there's overlap.
Absolutely, yeah.
We want everyone to play in the same sandbox, but
That's right, that's right. Okay, so we're set with that. And Judith, would you kind of review the talking points? So if we're chatting about the library, we can,
Sure thing.
Bring up.
So one of them is something called Paint the Sound. And this is a partnership with the Jackson Pollock Estate. They have an art educator who is going through a class for us about the technique in which you listen to music and paint. So I'm going to just quickly share my screen here so you can see the image for us. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody signed up for this yet. So, oopsie, wrong way on that. So people can pick up the material next week. We're going to provide the paint, the brushes, and kind of the special paper. And then you'll be on the Zoom and learn a little bit about the Jackson Pollock Estate and go through this process with their arts educator. I think it sounds really cool. It's a Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. So if you know anyone who is interested in art history or art or just likes to make a mess, this is perfect for any of them. It is adult focused, but I'm sure they'd be okay with older kids and teens as well. So that is one thing that's coming up.
Judith,
Yes.
so did you say that you could, it's recorded, so could I do it? No, it's only at that time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so bummed about that. I really like to do it.
and I find that many of these things are done in the middle of the afternoon, and so it really cuts out a lot of people who are working.
That's when the presenters are available is the issue.
When they're working.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really for retired
It
people.
really is for retired people, yeah. And then
Thank you for that.
Saturday painting class, which is a little less. It's just a library staff member doing a painting class in the library. And then we are doing another movie. We're showing Spencer, which is the feature film about Diana, Princess of Wales. So we're giving it another shot. So those were the 3 January programs I wanted to talk up.
Great. Thank you for reviewing those.
Hey, Judith.
Hey, Meredith.
When we have people that we are asking to come in and do a class for us, do we still pay them even if nobody comes?
So we've never had that happen.
Okay.
In this case, this would be the first time, and this is only $25, which is one of the reasons I gambled on it.
Right.
So this we've paid for in advance.
Okay.
But
Got it.
normally, so because the price point was so low, I was again willing to roll the dice. Normally, I would not hire a presenter if I was not confident we have a turnout. If only because of the morale for the presenter, in addition to the budgetary consideration.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, so this month we're going to review Goal 5 in the strategic plan review. And I thought maybe I'll read it and then maybe find a few examples of, hopefully, of how this has played out in the library the last few months. I'm sorry, it's goal,
Yeah, I see it as a typo. I think it is goal 6. I think the number.
okay,
You
yeah, I
is
think.
correct. The word is not.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So goal 6 is that the library will serve as a vehicle for people to learn about their community's history and environment. Well, I can think of one thing that I did this summer, which was the fishing there was I forget who did it, DEC maybe?
Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Oh, Cooperative Extension did a really cool program about the fish in the Hudson, which I thought was interesting.
And you did the thing with the pictures around all the different parks in the school district area.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parks Passport.
I mean, this was, of course, one of the guiding ideas behind Children's Town, having
yeah, right. Absolutely.
So, one day that'll reopen. And one of my kind of one-day goals is to pair that installation with kind of just plaques or even just QR codes for adults that would give adult-focused background material on, Forties and the some of the things that are represented in that place. Kind of give
that would be great.
Background information about the actual history in the community.
That would be really great. Yeah.
So. But that's been very much backburnered since the space.
Yeah. For another year, probably. So before we adjourn, I just wondered, maybe not next month, but the month after in March, we're going to be starting to kind of review the bylaws. And does anybody, if anybody think they need if you need a copy of the bylaws, just
let me know.
Let us know. Because probably in March we'll start with the first 5, or we'll have to see how many there are, and we'll divvy them up. And I think that we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait, I have one question, Lori.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt. I was noticing when I was at the library a couple days ago that the lines in the parking lot, like the parking space lines, are kind of hard to see. Is that like on a routine maintenance thing, or do we just do that as needed, Judith?
So we have not done it since I've been there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's funny because one thing I wanted to had on my list was send out emails this week to a couple committees. We need to start working on the budget, and we need to think about possible construction grant for the coming year. And I don't, routine maintenance doesn't qualify, but one thing I've seen and I'm intrigued about and I want to kind of get some feedback on is the idea of porous pavement for a parking lot. So take out the current parking lot, which is very cracked, largely because lots of heavy vehicles parking in our parking lot. Central Hudson does all the water main work. Our parking lot gets used by lots of vehicles that are there for non-library purposes. And I think even when we repair our parking lot, we might want to put up a parking for library use only sign. But I think that if we were interested in installing a green parking lot, which would reduce runoff, and I think in our community that's an important goal because we're obviously, as anyone who is in the parade knows, we're straight uphill from the Hudson River. So the long answer, Meredith, is our parking lot definitely needs work. So we have to decide: do we want to just kind of seal it and paint it, or do we want to think about a bigger change for that?
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Right. It's nothing to do.
And also, one other thing before we adjourn is, Debbie, I just want to say thank you for those ideas that you sent. And I think before, I add them to a meeting, I'll chat with Judith about it. And we'll, add some of that stuff to an upcoming agenda, if that's okay with you.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's what you said in the email, so.
Okay, so it's basically stuff like, should our personnel, or should our committees be, they should be open to the public, and how are we gonna do that? And also, maybe should we have an annual performance review for the board? I don't have any ideas about how to do it, but I think we should consider.
Well, Mid-Hudson Library says that they have resources for that.
Oh, good. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, but the other one was, as a board, we're supposed to appoint our new personnel. Judy
Yeah,
hires and the board appoints.
I think
It's
we
the
forgot
line in the
that.
thing. So
Yeah. Well, we'll add Hillary to next month's.
there we go.
Thank you
Yeah,
for.
I think
for
we
going
just
to that.
approve. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just appoint and then we'll just backdate it.
That sounds like a
Okay.
plan.
Yeah. So, would anybody make a motion to adjourn at 7:56?
Oh, very efficient meeting, Lori.
Yes.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Thanks, Marie.
Welcome.
Okay.
Great seeing all of you.
Yeah, great to see you, and I hope everybody